Over the past year and a half, couple years, I've had the opportunity of flying a lot. And I don't know if you're anything like me, but I get anxiety about flying. And first of all, it's just that my luggage is actually within the weight limit. And I put it out on the scale at home, but sometimes it's like, I don't know, I think they make it off by 5 pounds because it never matches up when I'm at the airport. So I have that anxiety. And then once I finally get my bags in, after I've taken items out of one bag to put in another bag so I can finally check them, then the next anxiety is making it through security. And I'm all like, man, the line is forever long and it's gonna take forever. And so by the time you get to the gate and then actually get on the plane, then the next anxiety is, I don't know about you guys, maybe you guys fly first class, but for me it's all, man, there are these little seats and who's gonna show up and sit by me? And so you wait down the aisle and you see everybody filing in, and then all of a sudden it's a steady stream and no one's sitting by you. And then all of a sudden the stream slows down and you're like, Mary, Mother of God, I could be sitting in a whole row by myself. And then right before they close the doors, there comes like this small child and this parent or this family or somebody, and they're just right there and they sit right next to you. But you've made it through that anxiety, and then you're like, okay, I've only got to put up with this for like 7, 8 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is. Well, you make it through the flight. You've put up with a bunch of stuff, and then you know that you're almost at your destination, and you should be making your approach. And so, you kind of come out of the clouds, and you know that the plane's coming down. And then all of a sudden, when the plane should be coming down a little more and it should be making its approach, you realize that you kind of hear the engines gun a little bit, and then your fear becomes true, and the pilot over the loudspeaker system says, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but there is an obstruction on the runway, and we are now in a holding pattern, and it's going to be a while before we land. Or the pilot comes on the loudspeaker and says, I'm sorry, we've been diverted to another airport. And then all of a sudden that panic comes back over your body because you have now no longer any idea of how long you're going to be in this holding pattern. and so you're just praying to God that He will get you down and that you'll have patience and that you'll persevere and you'll make it through. Well, I was thinking about that when I was in a flight, and this actually did happen to me. And then I started thinking about the correlation with where oftentimes we find ourselves in life. We've taken off where we know what our destination is, and we're on that flight path. And we are routing, we are going to that destination. And then life happens. Life happens, and it's almost like life or crisis. Something happens in our life that's outside of our control that throws us for a loop, and we find ourselves in a holding pattern. Well, sometimes as we're going through this holding pattern, our thought process is this: God, how long am I going to be going through this trial? Or God, when is this going to be over with? But you know what? It doesn't come as a shock to God that you're in this holding pattern. It doesn't come as a surprise to God that you're going through this trial in your life. Most probably, God is allowing you to go through this time to help strengthen you, to help mature you, to help you grow. And so what I encourage all of us when we find ourselves at these times in our life to where we're in these holding patterns, to not pray and ask God, God, get me through this, or God, how long am I going to be in this situation? But I would encourage us all to flip our thought and pray this: God, in the midst of where I am, how can you be glorified? See what happens when we begin praying that? It takes our focus off of ourselves, because you see, God, get me through this. That's a very selfish statement. It's about us. It's about our pain. And if we can shift from that to, God, how can you be glorified in the midst of this? It takes the focus off of ourselves, and it puts the focus on where it needs to be, and that's God. So if you think you're in a holding pattern, If you're like, I was on a destination, life happened, I'm not exactly where I thought or wanted to be, give that to God. And don't pray for the end to come about more quickly, but pray how in the midst of this situation, pray how God can be glorified in it and through it. I promise your attitude, your focus, everything about your life is going to change for the better, not for the worse. You guys have a great week.